Okay, I think we can get started. E já vou começar. Bom dia e bem-vindos a todos. Muito obrigada pelo interesse na pauta de hoje, internacionalização para o Canadá no setor de tecnologias oceânicas. Agradeço pelo interesse e pela oportunidade de falar sobre o Canadá como um destino de uma expansão internacional de negócios. Eu sou Mônica McDonough Fortino, gerente sênior de investimentos pelo governo canadense no Brasil. Vou apresentar, junto com meu colega Marcelo Tavares, também gerente sênior de investimentos e com a ajuda da nossa assistente comercial, Desirée Mota. Estamos com um super painel de apresentadores que são especialistas de negócios da província de Nova Scotia e a cidade e região de Halifax, para falar sobre o ambiente de negócios e oportunidades no setor de Ocean Tech. Temos o Jonathan Coles, da Nova Scotia Business Inc., a organização que apoia empresas ativas e potenciais investidores na província de Nova Scotia. Temos a Nancy Phillips, da Halifax Partnership, a agência de desenvolvimento econômico da cidade e região de Halifax. Temos o Kyle Burton, da Center for Ocean Ventures and Entrepreneurship, ou COVE, que é o hub de inovação no setor de tecnologias oceânicas. Temos também a Kathy Williams, da Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, ou ACOA, a agência de oportunidades da região atlântica do Canadá. E, finalmente, temos o Gordon Gale, do Ocean Technology Council of Nova Scotia, o Conselho de Tecnologia da província da Nova Scotia, que vai falar um pouco sobre a oportunidade de participar da conferência H2O na próxima semana, sem nenhuma taxa de inscrição. Depois das apresentações, vamos ter uma oportunidade para perguntas e respostas, então podem já ir enviando suas perguntas ou no chat ou no Q&A para a gente durante as apresentações. Eu e Marcelo vamos apresentar em português e os outros vão apresentar em inglês. Se não entenderam alguma coisa, podem perguntar no chat ou no Q&A e a gente pode explicar em português. Vou começar a falar sobre o papel do governo canadense no Brasil em apoiar as empresas brasileiras nos seus planos de internacionalização e apresentar algumas das vantagens de escolher o Canadá como seu destino. Depois vou passar a palavra para o Marcelo, que vai apresentar sobre os programas federais e ecossistemas que apoiam uma expansão de negócios no Canadá. Junto com o Marcelo e nossos colegas na área comercial, eu trabalho no Consulado Canadense em São Paulo. Trabalhamos pelo Trade Commissioner Service, ou Serviço de Promoção Comercial, que é uma rede de especialistas em comércio internacional dentro do Departamento de Global Affairs Canada do governo federal canadense. O Trade Commissioner Service tem uma presença global. No Brasil, está presente em várias regiões. A equipe está espalhada entre a embaixada, que fica em Brasília, os consulados gerais em São Paulo e no Rio, e os escritórios comerciais em Porto Alegre, Belo Horizonte e Recife. Trabalhamos com os nossos parceiros no Canadá, as agências de fomento econômico das cidades e províncias, para te apoiar na escolha do destino da sua empresa. Fazemos um certo matchmaking para informar quais regiões combinam melhor com o seu negócio e damos todo o apoio necessário durante o processo de se incorporar à sua empresa no Canadá, do levantamento de dados e custos, providenciando contatos, como advogados e contadores, para ajudar com o processo. Vocês, como empreendedores e líderes de negócios, já sabem que uma expansão internacional pode trazer grandes benefícios de crescimento. Vou dar um pouco de contexto sobre o ambiente de negócios no Canadá, para ilustrar por que as empresas escolhem o Canadá como destino para seus investimentos. O Canadá oferece vários benefícios em termos de internacionalização. As 3 maiores vantagens são relacionadas com os excelentes fundamentos econômicos do Canadá, o ambiente de negócios altamente competitivo e o acesso a talento e a mão de obra dinâmica. A Covid mudou radicalmente a perspectiva de crescimento ao redor do mundo. Todos os países do G7 têm perspectiva de crescimento negativo para o ano passado, 2020. O Canadá tem uma perspectiva de ser menos afetado do que a média de 7,6% de contração para as economias avançadas. Para 2021, o Canadá é previsto a crescer em 5%, que é mais alto do que a previsão do Brasil, de 3,1%, 3,7%. O Canadá tem mantido a menor dívida em relação ao PIB do G7 pelos últimos 16 anos. Esse gráfico mostra que é previsto continuar assim nesse ano. O Canadá também tem uma história forte de crescimento de emprego. Entre maio de 2014 e fevereiro de 2020, o Canadá criou quase 1,5 milhão de empregos, um aumento de 8%. Mais do que 90% desses empregos foram de tempo integral. A Covid interrompeu esse crescimento e resultou na perda de 3 milhões de empregos só entre fevereiro e abril de 2020. Porém, o Canadá está criando mais empregos cada mês, recuperando mais do que 83% desses empregos até abril desse ano. Acima de 66% são de tempo integral, desculpa. O Canadá tem um ambiente de inflação baixa e estável, mostrado nesse gráfico, que providencia certeza aos investidores. O Banco do Canadá continuará com o alvo de inflação de 2%. Entre 2017 e 2020, a média de inflação era 1,6% no Canadá, comparado ao 1,9% dos Estados Unidos. De acordo com a revista The Economist, o Canadá continua com o melhor ambiente de negócios do G20 para o período de 2021 a 2025. O Canadá tem mantido um ranking entre os 3 melhores países do mundo há mais de 15 anos. Durante o Covid, o Canadá continua sendo aberto ao livre comércio, um dos fatores considerados para esse ranking. Uma coisa que é bem atraente sobre o ambiente de negócios no Canadá é que exige menos esforço e tempo para abrir uma empresa comparado com outros países. O Canadá continua em primeiro lugar do mundo, de acordo com o ranking de Doing Business do Banco Mundial, com o menor número de procedimentos. Demora um dia e meio para abrir uma empresa. Isso comparado com mais do que 9 dias em média do OCDE. Os regulamentos pertinentes a abrir novas empresas são consideravelmente mais flexíveis no Canadá do que em outros países do G7. E tem bem menos burocracia do que estamos acostumados aqui no Brasil. Esse slide destaca que o Canadá é o mais atrativo do OCDE para empreendedores de origem estrangeira. Empreendedores de fora se beneficiam de leis muito amigáveis a estrangeiros que incentivam a imigração. Fora disso, o Canadá está entre os 3 melhores ambientes de negócios no mundo para empreendedores em geral. Investidores podem ficar tranquilos pelo fato do Canadá ter o segundo sistema bancário mais sólido do G20 e o sexto mais sólido do mundo. O Canadá tem a terceira menor carga tributária corporativa no G7 em 2020 de 26,2%, que é comparável aos Estados Unidos com 25,8%. O Canadá tem a menor carga tributária efetiva marginal do G7 para investimentos em novos negócios, que é de 13,8%, enquanto nos Estados Unidos é 18,4%. Investidores no Canadá estão bem protegidos. O Canadá é o primeiro no ranking de melhor facilidade de proteção de investidores no G7 e é sétimo no mundo na Índice Global de Inovação. A força de trabalho altamente qualificada e multicultural do Canadá é um dos principais motivos citados por empresas globais quando perguntados por que eles escolhem o Canadá. O Canadá tem a força de trabalho mais qualificada do OCDE. Este gráfico mostra que quase 60% da população produtiva tem educação de nível superior completo. 3 universidades canadenses são entre as 50 melhores do mundo. E o Canadá tem uma cultura de aprendizagem que começa com programas de educação infantil, com financiamento público, inclui ensino superior flexível, que abrange formações técnicas, e tem programas de MBA entre os melhores do mundo. É provável que temos na plateia de hoje ex-alunos do sistema educacional canadense. O Canadá é o destino de preferência de estudantes brasileiros fazendo intercâmbio de inglês. Os que já foram para estudar ou até para passear viram que o Canadá é um país com uma população acolhedora, diversificada e dinâmica. E com isso, agora eu vou passar a palavra para o Marcelo Tavares, que vai falar sobre os programas de incentivo do governo federal e os ecossistemas de inovação no Canadá.
Obrigado, Mônica. Bom dia a todos. Bom dia, e é um prazer estar aqui com vocês e também fazer esse seminário em parceria com os nossos colegas de Halifax e Nova Scotia. Good morning, and it's a pleasure to be here and doing this in partnership with our colleagues from Nova Scotia and Halifax. Eu vou falar em português, como a Mônica orientou, a gente vai fazer essa parte da apresentação em português, depois os nossos colegas seguem em inglês. Rapidamente, a Mônica sempre comenta, ela não comentou hoje, mas as pessoas ficam na dúvida se ela é canadense, né? Ela é americana, e a gente brinca que é muito bom ter um americano também falando bem do Canadá, mostrando os pontos positivos do Canadá, né? Hoje, todos esses rankings que foram mostrados aqui sobre as vantagens do Canadá e como o Canadá está bem posicionado nesses rankings atualmente, hoje a gente tem principalmente 3 fatores que definem o Canadá nesse posicionamento aí dos top 3, né? São essas questões de talento, o apoio à pesquisa e desenvolvimento e o acesso a mercados. Próximo, por favor. O Canadá vem construindo políticas públicas para desenvolver esses 3 pilares, né, nas últimas décadas. Vou falar primeiro aqui sobre a questão de contratação e acesso a talentos, mão de obra qualificada. Mônica mostrou num slide anterior que a população economicamente ativa do Canadá hoje, 60% dela tem nível superior, então isso demonstra uma qualificação de mão de obra. O governo federal observando essa questão, incentivando a formação e também incentivando as empresas a contratarem essa mão de obra qualificada, desenvolveu um programa que se chama MyTax, que é um programa de apoio à pesquisa e acesso a esses pesquisadores nas universidades, permite a contratação de pós-graduandos, né, de profissionais que estejam cursando mestrado, doutorado ou pós-doutorado em alguma universidade ou instituição de pesquisa no Canadá, tanto canadenses como estrangeiros que estejam cursando essas disciplinas, onde a empresa interessada pode contratar um ou vários profissionais naquela disciplina que faz mais sentido para a sua necessidade, tendo um subsídio salarial pago pelo governo. Na verdade, é um programa onde o governo paga 50% do salário e a empresa arca com os restantes 50% e permite, assim, você ter um profissional com alta qualificação, com o perfil que você precisa para desenvolver uma pesquisa, para ajudar a sua equipe aqui no Brasil ou tocar essa pesquisa a partir do Canadá, ajudando a sua empresa a desenvolver uma solução, uma inovação que você, porventura, esteja planejando. Esse pacote, né, como eu falei, o formato dele é de 4 meses, renovados a cada 4 meses. O custo é de $15.000 por esse período de 4 meses, então ele funciona da seguinte maneira. Vamos supor uma empresa brasileira que precise contratar um engenheiro de software ou um engenheiro de alguma disciplina voltada para tecnologias limpas ou do oceano, pode contratar esse perfil no Canadá, se instala primeiro no Canadá, esse é um benefício apenas para empresas que estejam instaladas no Canadá, e aí elas podem ser de qualquer origem, né, de qualquer nacionalidade, e essa empresa, então, pode buscar um profissional, contratá-lo, ele trabalha por um período de 4 meses, ele part-time, porque ele está fazendo a sua pós-graduação. O custo desse profissional por 4 meses é de $7.500 para a empresa e o governo arca com os restantes $7.500. Você pode, como eu falei, contratar mais de um profissional e aí esse valor é decrescente por profissional. Então, é um programa chamado MyTax, um programa do governo federal, disponível em todas as províncias e que tem sido muito usado por várias empresas estrangeiras que olham para o Canadá como uma opção de você ter uma operação de inovação, um laboratório de pesquisa e desenvolvimento para alguma solução da sua empresa. Próximo, por favor. Um outro programa também bastante interessante que tem atraído muitas empresas para o Canadá é um programa do governo federal também, junto com as províncias, que foca na questão dos tributos pagos para o investimento que é feito em pesquisa e desenvolvimento em solo canadense. Então, são subsídios, né, para pesquisa e inovação. É um programa hoje de mais de $3 bilhões canadenses. Ele atende basicamente pequenas e médias empresas e o que ele oferece é uma isenção tributária no final do ano fiscal para que todo o valor investido em pesquisa e desenvolvimento no Canadá, a empresa possa ter ou um cashback desse valor ou então uma isenção dos tributos pagos, né? Esses valores, essas alíquotas no ano aí variam, tem dois exemplos aqui de 2 províncias, Ontário e Quebec, você pode ter 42% e até 54% de isenção tributária. Como é que funciona isso? Você fez todo um desenvolvimento de uma solução no Canadá, você investiu no desenvolvimento dessas tecnologias, dessas inovações, pagou salários para os seus profissionais, todos esses valores contabilizados durante o ano, no final do ano fiscal, quando você vai fazer o imposto de renda da empresa, se a empresa não estiver faturando, você não, claro, evidentemente, não vai pagar imposto de renda, mas você pode ter parte desse valor revertido, retornado para a empresa em forma de cashback. Caso a empresa já esteja faturando e tenha um imposto devido a pagar, você pode, então, abater de 42% a 54%, no caso de empresas canadenses, se a empresa for de controle estrangeiro, e você tem uma alíquota menor, de 25% a 27%, de isenção desses tributos pagos. Então, essa é uma iniciativa bastante interessante, bastante agressiva. Acho que o Canadá hoje é o único país que oferece uma isenção tributária para investimento para empresas estrangeiras também. Então, é mais um fator que incentiva o desenvolvimento de pesquisa, de tecnologia, de contratação de mão de obra por parte de empresas estrangeiras. Próximo, por favor. Um outro ponto que a gente sempre gosta de comentar, e aí tem uma relação com o Brasil, é que o Conselho Nacional de Pesquisa no Canadá, o National Research Council, é bastante ativo, né? Vocês veem aí as áreas de atuação com apoio, incentivo, investimento à pesquisa desde pequenas e médias empresas até grandes empresas em todos esses setores da economia, né? Desde a parte de tecnologias do oceano até a parte de ciências da vida, bastante abrangente em termos de investimento, como eu falei, atende pequenas e médias, também atende grandes empresas, investimentos que vão de 5 mil a 50 milhões de dólares canadenses para apoio a desenvolvimento de inovação com impacto na indústria. Esse é um programa que tem uma parceria com o Brasil, foram assinados alguns acordos de parceria aqui no Brasil com a FINEP e com a Embrap, e permite que empresas brasileiras possam trabalhar em conjunto com empresas canadenses do mesmo setor, desenvolvendo pesquisa e se valendo desses incentivos que o governo do Canadá, através do Conselho Nacional de Pesquisa, oferece. Próximo. Dentro dessa história, né, e política de incentivo à pesquisa, educação, concentração de empresas inovadoras, desde 2019, o governo do Canadá definiu uma série de ações que criaram superclusters, né, que são hubs temáticos da indústria, onde existe uma concentração de pequenas empresas, médias empresas, grandes empresas, universidades, institutos de pesquisa, fundos de investimento, apoios do governo de diversos níveis de governo, federal, provincial e municipal. E aí vocês podem ver ao longo do país clusters específicos com temas específicos, né? Desde tecnologias digitais até a parte de oceano, que é a que nós estamos conversando hoje, que fica aqui na costa do Atlântico canadense. Então, essas regiões, elas têm um perfil bastante específico, elas acabam se tornando regiões atrativas para empresas que desenvolvem pesquisa naquele setor, onde você vai encontrar um ecossistema muito dinâmico, com uma série de empresas estrangeiras, também empresas canadenses, que atuam naquele setor, fundos de investimento, investidores anjos, interessados em fomentar a pesquisa e a inovação naqueles setores específicos. Hoje, o programa de superclusters ele tem o valor investido pelo governo federal de 1 bilhão de dólares canadenses e tem uma contrapartida da iniciativa privada também de mais 1 bilhão de dólares. Então, são inúmeros incentivos facilmente acessáveis por parte de empresas que queiram desenvolver a sua inovação com um perfil de indústria específico em mente. Então, essa é uma outra opção que o Canadá oferece também para empresas que desejem se expandir internacionalmente e queiram fazer a sua pesquisa a partir do Canadá. Próximo. Tem um outro ponto que o Canadá também quase que hors concours nessa questão, que são os acordos de livre comércio, né? A economia canadense é uma economia razoavelmente pequena, né? Se você for comparar com as maiores economias do mundo, é um país que precisa muito do comércio internacional, portanto, vem desenvolvendo ao longo das décadas inúmeros acordos de livre comércio com países e zonas comerciais. O principal acordo que o Canadá faz parte, e talvez o mais conhecido, né, é o antigo NAFTA, né, que hoje se chama CUSMA, ali em vermelho. Então, permite que empresas que estão sediadas no Canadá acessem os mercados consumidores dos Estados Unidos e do México com uma facilidade tributária, sem uma imposição de tributos que onere no seu negócio, né? Além do CUSMA, que é o mais conhecido realmente, o Canadá hoje é o país com o maior número de acordos de livre comércio. Então, a partir do Canadá, você consegue acessar mais de 50 países no mundo. Os principais acordos estão aqui nesse slide, né? O acordo com a União Europeia, o CETA, em verde. Você consegue acessar mercados da União Europeia com a mesma vantagem tributária de que fosse um país membro. Um acordo com países do Pacífico, inclusive países da América do Sul. E o Canadá hoje também negocia um acordo de livre comércio com o Mercosul, está em fase de negociação, diria que estamos no meio dessas negociações, em breve, quando for assinado, vai permitir também um maior entre o Brasil e o Canadá. A grande vantagem de você olhar esses acordos comerciais é que, mesmo que você seja uma empresa brasileira, você tendo a ambição de explorar oportunidades fora do Brasil, você está inserido num ecossistema, numa região que lhe oferece esses acordos comerciais, o custo da sua solução ele é muito mais competitivo porque você não tem esse custo tributário de vender num outro mercado, né? Então, isso também torna o Canadá muito atraente. Só para ter uma ideia como isso é importante, do G7, o Canadá é o único país que tem acordos comerciais com todos os outros 6 membros. Então, é muito importante essa política, beneficia muito empresas que querem se expandir internacionalmente e, uma vez que uma empresa se instale no Canadá, ela já tem acesso a todas essas condições favoráveis de vender em outros mercados. Próximo, por favor. Dentro dessa linha de expansão global, a agência para a qual nós trabalhamos aqui no Brasil, né, o Trade Commissioner Service, que é o serviço de apoio à promoção comercial do Canadá no resto do mundo, ele também está presente em mais de 160 cidades ao redor do mundo. O papel prioritário é auxiliar empresas canadenses ou empresas que estão no Canadá a identificar oportunidades de negócios em outras regiões. Então, uma vez inserido no Canadá, sua empresa teria o apoio do governo canadense para explorar oportunidades, identificar clientes em outros mercados nos quais você, porventura, tenha vislumbrado algum dia uma oportunidade de negócio. A gente sabe globais, você acessa mercados globais com o apoio do governo federal sem nenhum custo, fazendo aí pesquisas de mercado, viabilidade do seu negócio, identificando parceiros ou concorrentes, a questão também regulatória, o governo oferece sem custo para todas as empresas que estão instaladas em solo canadense, estrangeiras inclusive. Próximo slide são os nossos contatos, né? A apresentação um pouco rápida para que vocês possam ouvir de todos. Ela vai ser disponibilizada para vocês no final do seminário. Fico à disposição para alguma pergunta no final e passo a apresentação para o próximo colega. Muito obrigado.
Obrigada, Marcelo. Excelente resumo dos programas disponíveis, empresas expandindo seus negócios no Canadá. O primeiro apresentador, se juntando a nós desde o Canadá, é o Jonathan Coles, executivo de atração de investimento da Nova Scotia Business Inc., a organização que apoia empresas ativas e potenciais investidores na província de Nova Scotia. Vamos mudar para o inglês agora, mas qualquer dúvida pode nos avisar no chat ou no Q&A. Jonathan, thanks for joining us, and please go ahead and introduce yourself and tell us about Nova Scotia Business Inc.
Excellent. Thank you, Monica. And I would like to start by thanking our Trade Commission in Brazil for the opportunity to present to you today. And I'd like to thank you for joining us today to learn more about the ocean technology sector in Nova Scotia and Nova Scotia Business Inc. Next slide, please. SBI is a crown corporation of the province of Nova Scotia. We are focused on growing the economy in Nova Scotia. We help local companies export their goods to more markets, and we help attract new business to Nova Scotia. You can count on us to be your main point of contact for supporting your business here. Next slide. So how do we help? As an economic development agency, our business is to help companies efficiently establish a presence in Nova Scotia. We will help you with your workforce development, finding government programs that may apply to your business, and connecting you with the local business ecosystem. We'll even help you find a suitable facility or office space. Next slide, please. Here's a bit of an overview of Nova Scotia in general. Nova Scotia is located in the east coast of Canada, close to major centers such as Boston and New York. We're one of the closest North American locations to the European market. Nova Scotia has a population of just under 1 million, and over the past 6 years has had steady population growth. Next slide, please. Our ecosystem. The Nova Scotia ecosystem offers everything that you may require to ensure that your business here will be successful and sustainable. Our job is to help you identify the parts of the ecosystem that can be leveraged to help your business succeed. Oh, I think you're a bit ahead of me now. If you can go back a few slides. Okay, no, that's fine. Okay, next slide, please. An ocean cluster. Sorry about that. You will learn quite a bit about our ocean cluster today, but I'll start from just a high level overview. We have over 300 companies in our ocean sector with over 80 high-tech and ocean-related PhDs. So with well-educated people, you'll find what you need here in Nova Scotia, whether for supply chain development, collaboration, R&D, or workforce development, you will find it here. Next slide, please. The sector represents 15% of our annual GDP, or about 4.5 billion annually. 1/3 of all R&D in the province is focused on ocean technology. We've seen approximately 500 million in strategic sector investments. Next slide, please. The Nova Scotia Oceans Cluster is made up of an efficient mix of industry, academia, and government, all working together to support the growth of the sector. Ocean industries span fisheries and aquaculture, shipbuilding and transportation, marine energy, defense and security, ocean science and observation, and marine tourism. Included in this cluster are many global recognized companies such as Clearwater Seafoods, Lockheed Martin, Kongsberg, and Man Energy Solutions. Within this cluster, we are seeing regular growth and development. Just recently, Ultra Maritime, located in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, announced a $20 million investment to establish a global sonar center of excellence here. They are part of a vibrant ecosystem and help bring critical mass that makes the sector not just world-class, but leading edge. We also have many young companies that are producing leading technology, often in partnership with academic partners. Next slide, please. Our areas of expertise include things such as sensing and imaging, acoustics, ocean data, modeling and training, marine renewable energy technologies, ocean observation, marine transportation, shipbuilding, defense and security. A lot of what happens in the ocean tech sector is also supported by a strong ICT sector, providing excellence in AI, machine learning, data analytics, advanced algorithms, and more. Next slide, please. Our innovation ecosystem. We also, across the province of Nova Scotia, there are numerous centers that support startups and early stage companies. Some of them you'll hear more about later this morning. These centers will work closely with government, academia, and industry, helping to ensure that these new companies develop a firm foundation for growth. Next slide, please. So what makes us unique? Nova Scotia has excellent capabilities in ocean technology as well as other sectors. We have a growing oceans cluster that is supportive of new business. I'd like to now highlight a few things that make us unique. Next slide, please. The Center for Ocean Ventures and Entrepreneurship. Located in Halifax on the world's second largest natural harbor, COVE is a collaborative facility and applied innovation in ocean sector. And we'll be doing a presentation here this morning. Next slide, please. Canada has an ocean supercluster, which helps bring companies together to develop important new technology and capabilities related to the ocean tech sector. Like COVE, Ocean Supercluster will also be making a presentation. Next slide, please. The Port of Halifax has recently opened a living lab called The Pier, which focuses on marine transportation and logistics. Their areas of focus are supply chain and logistics, an interconnected port city, and maritime policy development. The Pier is a place where companies of all sizes can get together in a collaborative environment and help solve some of the challenges of the industry. Next slide, please. Deep Sense is a collaboration between Dalhousie businesses make sense of their data through the application of AI and machine learning. If you collect or work with large amounts of data, you should be talking with Deep Sense. Next slide, please. What is business without people? The people here are most important. We have a well-educated workforce with annual turn rates well under 10%. This allows you to develop an effective and loyal workforce, which ultimately saves you money. Next slide, please. Nova Scotia has a well-educated workforce with individuals from around the world. Each year, more than 4,000 international students from 145 countries choose to study in Nova Scotia. Education is big business with us, and it also ensures that we have an educated young workforce. Next slide, please. Our academic partners are offering their students programs that are in line with the needs of industry and work closely with industry to help commercialize new technology through R&D. Dalhousie offers several bachelor programs in ocean sciences. St. FX has a dedicated aquatic resources program. Cape Breton University offers a Bachelor of Technology in Natural Science. Our community college, NSCC, has established a technology act which helps companies conduct hands-on oceans research work. The NSCC also has a Nautical Institute, which focuses on marine engineering and technology. Next slide, please. Nova Scotia provides a cost-competitive operating environment. Next slide. As you can see, this slide shows some of our cost comparisons for doing business here compared to some other major centers. As you can see, Nova Scotia offers a cost-competitive opportunities throughout your value chain, from research to development to exporting finished goods around the world. We have very, very competitive operating costs, including both labor and facilities. Next slide, please. Just a little bit of information about incentives. To help ensure your business is built on a firm foundation and that you're globally competitive, there are numerous programs in place to support your business. NSBI ourselves offer a rebate on payroll that you recreate of 5 to 10% over a 5-year period. For those of you where it requires significant capital investment to set up your business, there are capital investment tax credits that can rebate you almost up to a quarter of qualifying expenditures. For R&D work, 50% of qualified expenditures. And for businesses located here in Nova Scotia, NSBI offers many programs to help selling your goods and services abroad. So we don't just work to get you to set up in Nova Scotia, but we work with you as a Nova Scotia company once you're here. Next slide, please. Life is good in Nova Scotia. During the past year in particular, we've seen an influx of people moving here for the lifestyle. Nova Scotia communities are safe and respectful. Next slide, please. The quality of life in Nova Scotia is second to none, whether you prefer sandy beaches and coastal cliffs or from either. Nova Scotia has some of the most affordable costs of living in Canada. Halifax ranks 102nd out of 427 cities in the world for affordable living. Nova Scotia is a great place to live, raise a family, and run a successful business. Lifestyle is so important when it comes to attracting and retaining an efficient workforce also. Next slide, please. Is Nova Scotia right for your business? If you'd like to explore in further detail if Nova Scotia is right for your business, contact me and I'd be pleased to work with you. Next slide, please. I'd like you thank you for your time today and interest in Nova Scotia. If you'd like to contact me directly, my email address is jcoles@nsbi.ca. Thank you again.
Thank you, Jonathan. Thanks for that presentation and insight into Nova Scotia's business environment and how the living standard is. A próxima apresentadora é a Nancy Phillips, que é vice-presidente de investimento e parcerias internacionais na Halifax Partnership, agência de desenvolvimento econômico da cidade e região de Halifax. Nancy, thank you for being with us and for your support in planning this event. Please go ahead and introduce yourself and Halifax Partnership.
Thank you, Monica, and good morning, Brazil. I'm so pleased to be here. I am going to keep my camera off only because I'm having a few technical challenges, and I don't want to have to log out and log back in. So a little bit about the Halifax Partnership, who I represent here this morning. We are an economic development agency, and we are focused on Halifax. The partnership works with over 100 private sector companies and post-secondary and our partners in all three levels of government. We are a public-private partnership, so we collaborate with everybody that helps grow our ecosystem. We sell and market Halifax to the world. We help our local businesses and talent reach their full potential, and we track and we report on Halifax's economic progress. Next slide, please. We think Halifax provides everything your business needs to be globally competitive: talent, location, cost, collaboration, and innovation advantages. We don't think it's any one of these competitive business advantages in particular, but we think it's the combination together here in Halifax. Next slide, please. Jonathan spoke a little bit about our population growth, but just to give you some perspective, Halifax is currently sitting at 450,000 people. And this year we've had record population growth. And as well, we've had record population growth every year for the last 5 years. Currently, Halifax is the second fastest growing city in Canada. We have a growth rate of 2.1% a year. We're tracking to have 550,000 people by 2031, if not earlier. Next slide, please. In particular, what's important to note is more than half of the newcomers to Halifax are from outside of Canada, and 40% are between the ages of 20 and 34. That is the age group that most companies covet and want to hire. Next slide, please. I want to give you a little perspective from a photo. Sometimes words can't tell you exactly all the changes. This is Halifax in 2012. Next slide. And this is Halifax in 2020. And we can see that change again. Next slide. So 2012 and 2020. Another thing that makes Halifax a great location for your business is that we're a great location in the world. We are a short flight to New York, Boston, Toronto, and many other North American destinations. Next slide. We're also 2 hours closer by air to Europe than any other major mainland North American destination. We're a great location for you to put down roots and to do business with the rest of the world. Next slide, please. I want to take a moment and talk to you in a little bit more detail about the Halifax Innovation District. It's located in the heart of Halifax on both sides of the harbor. And the Innovation District is a technology-rich, research-dense area where people, firms, post-secondary institutions, startups and scale-ups, and of course, innovation hubs collaborate to generate and accelerate ideas and develop and evolve new products. The district is home to over 2,000 companies, numerous incubators, those hubs, including Volta, which is Canada's East Coast Innovation Hub and the largest outside of Southern Ontario. Supporting the district are our 5 universities, 3 community college campuses, major hospitals, R&D labs, risk capital, and all levels of government, supported by mixed-use housing, retail, and a vibrant food, arts, and culture scene. The Innovation District and broader innovation ecosystem support 290 startups, and they operate in the IT, life sciences, clean tech, and ocean tech sectors. Next slide. Our Innovation District and the ecosystem have 300 startups. I think I mentioned that in the ocean tech and other sectors. We'll go to the next slide, please. We also have one of the largest concentrations of universities and best educated workforces in North America. Halifax has a great talent pipeline to support business growth and expansion. Next slide, please. And we think that Halifax is a great location from a lifestyle perspective. Jonathan touched on it as well. People fall in love with our East Coast lifestyle, an enviable combination of urban and rural living. You can have whatever you desire. Our approachable size means you can get to know people and places in a tight-knit community. And we have short, easy commutes to nature, where you can get from the boardroom to the beach in less than 30 minutes. So that's it for me. That's my last slide. Keeping it simple. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Nancy, for sharing those highlights of Halifax as a business destination. Nosso próximo palestrante é o Kyle Burton, gerente do Ecossistema e Parcerias no Center for Ocean Ventures and Entrepreneurship Cove, que é o hub de inovação no setor de tecnologias oceânicas. Kyle, thank you for virtually being with us, and please go ahead and introduce yourself and Cove.
Thank you, Monica. My name is Kyle Burton. I'm the Ecosystem and Partnerships Manager here at Cove. Cove is the Center for Ocean Ventures and Entrepreneurship. Formerly, sorry, let me just jump into the next slide, sorry. So the Cove facility is formerly a Canadian Coast Guard base located in the Halifax Harbor, centrally located amongst all the various resources that Halifax has to offer. The site itself is an 8-acre facility, and then we have also water lot in front of the facilities as well. Cove itself is an innovation center where companies come together, collaborate, work together on new products and projects. The idea is putting them all under one roof is a good idea to force some of those collaborations to happen. And we've been in operation now for just shy of 3 years and have lots of evidence that model works. The facilities are world-class. Having access to the water is very important for companies building new ocean technology products to be able to test and iterate those products much quicker than they would elsewhere. The facilities have a mixed use of office and workshop space. There's also a machine shop, prototyping areas on site, and shared infrastructure that companies can use to test their products. Before COVID, we were a kind of a center for networking and social events. A lot of those have switched to virtual, and I would encourage anyone who can join remotely to do so. Next slide, please. So again, looking at the facilities, we have lots of wharf and areas for vessels to tie up and interact with our community. We also have lots of lay down space and areas to do prototyping, R&D, manufacturing as well. At Cove, there's a startup incubator for new companies. There's also a traditional office space for more established companies, and there's lots of room to grow. We have another about 3 acres of unused space that's just being renovated right now, and lots of future plans. And we would encourage anyone who is interested in coming to Canada and interacting with the community that we have here to reach out and engage that way. Next slide, please. So yeah, very similar to the document that Nancy shared. The Halifax Harbor is the second largest natural harbor in the world. Also doesn't freeze. It's also a great spot to interact and work with the local oceans community. There's lots of various organizations and partners for supporting ocean technology companies. There's 3 shipping terminals. 2 are containerized. 1 is for auto ports. We also have universities and colleges, lots of research institutions, large government organizations focused on things like climate change and fisheries and aquaculture just around the corner. So Halifax is definitely the place to be if you're in the ocean technology space. Next slide, please. Cove really focuses on 4 key areas for our mandate. I showed you the infrastructure. Those world-class facilities and tools are instrumental in growing companies. Cove also works very diligently to promote careers in oceans. A lot of people don't think about ocean technology as a career path, and Cove is working very tirelessly to help promote that and get more people involved in that process. We're also looking at how we can help the companies that are members of Cove and others to build new commercial opportunities, working with others around the world and locally to forge partnerships and various other ways to collaborate. And then we also look at how can Cove be a leader and help drive projects and new product development and be a catalyst for new technology. You'll see a little bit about that later in the presentation of an example, a very recent one, actually. Next slide, please. So similar to focus of NSPI and Halifax partnership on the oceans file, we look at kind of 5 key industries ranging from renewable energy to fisheries, aquaculture. Naturally, being in a port with several shipping terminals, we look at marine transportation, and big data plays around that. And then our companies are also increasingly involved in marine defense and security. The Canadian Navy is, I look out the window here now, I can see some of the ships in the dock. And then we also, the nature of being a tourist destination, that lifestyle, marine tourism becomes a big focus for Nova Scotia and Halifax as well. Next slide, please. So the real beauty of Cove and Halifax in general is that the ecosystem that has been developed. We have over 60 members here at Cove right now, ranging from startups to large multinational companies with presence in various countries. We also work very closely with clusters, some that you'll see on here today and chat with, government organizations, universities, colleges, and then also like-minded organizations, partners around the world that we share common interests in with growing the ocean economy, supporting commercialization of ocean tech, things along those lines. So it's very important that the network is established and working to help our members grow. Next slide, please. This is a quick snapshot of some of the success stories that our members have had, ranging from project announcements in the tens of millions of dollars to finding customers for new startups and everything along the lines. Next slide, please. So one of the things I mentioned around the catalyst of new technology, Cove also is partners on a few projects around technical leadership, demonstrating new products in real world environment. We have access to the water here at Cove. Let's maximize the opportunity there. So one of the projects we work closely on is the Smart Atlantic buoys, which is a series of meteorological buoys that have different sensors and equipment on board. And then we're able to, during normal maintenance cycles, include new products aboard that and allow our members to really test their products and get real time as well, results on how those work. Next slide, please. A good example of that is the recent launch of Stellamaris, which is a technical project we launched. It just went in the water about a week ago. If you're joining the H2O conference next week, you'll be able to see the official launch of that on Tuesday, June 8th. So the Stellamaris is a subsea platform that has types of different sensors on board from various companies, ones that would typically not work together or require different system requirements. Cove was able to pull in a dozen and a few more companies with sensors and equipment and new products to build on this sensor platform. And if you go to the next slide, you get a good example of what it looks like. And if you just hit, there you go, it'll spin around. So the multi-sensor subsea platform, it looks like a Mars rover without the wheels. It's at the bottom of the seafloor here in the Halifax harbor right now, reporting data in real time from the dozen plus sensors on board. It's capturing laser, camera, hydrophone that's listening for subsea noise. It's measuring turbidity of the water, various parameters, and all of these devices are working together and seamlessly reporting that data back to Cove in real time. And then the next slide, it's a better rendering of what it looks like. And if you're tuning into H2O, I would encourage you to watch the launch. It's a pretty cool event that happened last week, and we're happy to share it with everyone. Next slide, please. In the wake of all of our events being virtual, I would encourage everyone joining today to participate. I know Brazil and Nova Scotia work on the same or very similar time zones, so being able to tune into our events is less of a challenge than some of our partners in Europe or in Asia. So all the events, programs, workshops, networking opportunities are all available virtually, and they will continue when we have people back on site. You can engage with our members. Go to coveocean.com/members. You can see all of the different companies we have on the website. And if there's anyone there that you want to be connected to, please reach out and to me, and I'll be happy to make that introduction. And then we're always open to looking at how we can support international companies, working with Canadian companies through partnerships, technology commercialization, and then those type of collaborations are very important to us. Next slide, please. These are the various ways to connect. My email is on the next slide. Please don't hesitate to reach out and get in touch. We love collaborating and working with other companies to help grow the global ecosystem. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Kyle, for providing that look into Cove, the innovation hub, and it could be a great partner for R&D, for many of the companies participating today. A próxima apresentadora é a Kathy Williams, oficial de desenvolvimento de negócios internacionais na Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, a COA, a Agência de Oportunidades da Região Atlântica do Canadá. Thank you, Kathy, for joining us today, and please go ahead and introduce yourself and ACOA.
Thanks so much, Monica. Very happy to be part of this group presenting to your organizations and companies of Brazil today. And I've, like Monica said, my name is Kathy Williams, and I'm an International Business Development Officer with the Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency. ACOA is a federal government department. We are part of the Government of Canada, and I have the great pleasure of working with a lot of the partners that are on this call today, speaking with you about all the activity that's going on here in Halifax, in Nova Scotia, and Canada, and specifically what's happening in our ocean technology sector. Next slide, please. ACOA is a federal regional economic development agency. So we're based here in Atlantic Canada. There are other regional development agencies across Canada. And really what we work to do every day is to increase economic activity here. And we want to help grow good jobs and good opportunities for our region. Next slide. There are a few areas of focus that we have as an agency. I work on the enterprise development side, so that's basically working directly with companies and also with our ecosystem partners to support our startups and existing companies, for me specifically in the ocean technology space. But we also do have a branch that works in community economic development and inclusive growth. And we also have a group based out of Ottawa that works on policy advocacy and coordination to ensure that the Atlantic region is represented in federal policy and that we can participate in any national programs that are being offered, that we also are represented in those programs as well. Next slide, please. So this morning, the main focus of my talk will be to talk about specific funding programs that companies are eligible for when they have a physical presence here in Nova Scotia. We have a couple of key programs that we use to help fund companies. You'll see them captured there on the screen. We have our Regional Economic Growth Through Innovation program. We call it REGI. We also have our business development program, productivity and business skills initiative, and we also do provide information and pathfinding services for new companies as well. Next slide, please. This is a broad list of the various sectors that we tend to work with. You'll see ocean technologies captured there. And just to note, there are a lot of other sectors there that also touch on the ocean economy as well, showing that oceans is truly one of the champion files for our agency. And it's a high priority for not only our agency, but the Government of Canada. And we do put a lot of effort and focus into helping grow our ocean economy. Next slide. This slide specifically talks about our REGI program, and we use this program typically when we are working with innovative companies that are looking to undertake research and development, typically at the later stage. Also, if we want to help companies scale and grow faster, they're looking to expand. If we want to help companies undertake technology demonstrations or commercialize their new technology, this is the program that we use. The beauty of our funding programs is that we are interest-free and unsecured. So we have pretty generous repayment terms as well. If we are doing a program with you, we have the ability to tailor that repayment schedule to meet the needs of your company, and all those decisions are made locally in our office. We don't have to send it away to an office in Ottawa or anything like that. We have complete control over those projects and repayment terms. From a lending perspective, we typically, most of our projects fall, I would say, in the $100,000 to $500,000 range. We can do larger projects if there's a good business case and a need and it's strategically important. We can look at larger investments. However, most of our projects fall in the smaller range. For capital costs in a project, we can typically lend up to a maximum of 50% of those costs. So if a piece of equipment you were looking to purchase for your company here in Nova Scotia is $200,000, we could potentially lend up to $100,000 towards the cost of that equipment. And if you're doing anything more on the innovative side, looking at commercialization costs or anything like that, we can fund up to 75% of more innovative costs. And like I said, our funding is repayable sometimes. If it's a special circumstance, we can look at conditionally repayable projects as well. Next slide, please. Our business startup program is the program that we've had around for 20 years. And although REGI works on more innovative projects right now, we still do have access to our business development program. And we typically use that program when a new company is locating here or an existing company is looking to expand its physical presence. So they're undertaking some renovations to existing space, to modernize, or do those type of upgrades. We can use this program to help fund those projects. And with this program, again, we can lend up to 50% of the cost that a company is looking for. Next slide, please. One of our most popular financing tools that we have is called our Productivity and Business Skills Program. The beauty of this program is that it's non-repayable funding. So we use this program to help companies increase skills within their business. Perhaps your business is growing quickly and you realize you need a new resource to help you on the business development front, to help you explore some new markets that you're looking to get into. You want to hire a senior business development person. We could help with a project, and we can cover up to 75% of that person's salary, up to $50,000 that you don't have to pay back to our department. So for instance, if the person's salary was $100,000, the most that we could provide in funding would be $50,000. And we are able to do these types of projects up to 5 times over the course of our interaction with a company. So a company could benefit in up to $250,000 in non-repayable funding, typically towards costs that will help bring those skills into your company to help you grow. Next slide, please. So just to finish up, I will say that we do have a very strong ecosystem here in Nova Scotia. The partners that are on this call today can attest to that. And we work hand in hand to help any company that's interested in coming to our region to really make the most of their time and their experience here. We are available by email or by phone if you want to reach out and have a further discussion about the programming that we offer. And hopefully, I know you've heard about our H2O conference. Hopefully you'll be joining us next week for that as well. Thank you for the opportunity today.
Thank you, Kathy, for telling us about ACOA's programs and services that support businesses in the region. And o último apresentador de Nova Scotia é o Gordon Gale, diretor de negócios internacionais no Ocean Technology Council of Nova Scotia, o Conselho de Tecnologia da Província de Nova Scotia, que vai falar sobre o TCNS e da conferência H2O da próxima semana, que vocês conseguem participar sem nenhuma taxa de inscrição. So, Gordon, please go ahead and introduce yourself and OTCNS.
Lovely, thank you, Monica, and thank you again for hosting this. My name is Gordon Gale. I am Director of International Business of the Ocean Technology Council of Nova Scotia. Next slide, please, Desirée. The Ocean Technology Council is an industry association, and as you can see from the slide there, we represent about 80 to 90 companies in the ocean technology sector in Nova Scotia, and we've also got company members from outside of Nova Scotia, from Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, and some larger companies like Lockheed Martin Canada, BAE, etc., whose Canadian bases are up in Ottawa. We facilitate information and competitive intelligence workshops, etc., on behalf of our companies, and this is where we deliver and facilitate workshops where we can get information on behalf of our companies in order for them to compete more effectively, particularly on the global marketplace. We're also engaged on helping facilitate our companies in HR development and workforce retention, etc. And we do work very closely with our other partners. Some of you are here today: Halifax Partnership, Atlantic Canada Opportunities Agency, and Nova Scotia Business Inc., and of course Global Affairs Canada, particularly in international business development activities, which is a significant part of our role. And we also deliver the H2O conference, which a number of people have mentioned, and I will talk about a little bit more further on. One thing I should say maybe at this point, as you can see by all these presentations today, we all work very closely together. The provincial government representatives, the federal government representatives, industry representatives, etc. where we work very closely to help facilitate the whole economic development and partnership, particularly international, between our organizations, our industries abroad. So when you're talking to one of us, we sort of make sure, if it's not ourselves, we would put you on to Nova Scotia Business Inc. or ACOA or whatever. But just suffice to say, we do work very, very closely together. And next slide, please. This is just a brief slide of our sister organizations across Canada, from west to east, from British Columbia, Quebec, Newfoundland and Labrador, and Nova Scotia. Next slide, please. Again, this is just to show where we are in the world, particularly in the relation to the European market. Brazil's down a little bit, so I'm sure you all know where it is. Next slide, please. Again, this has been mentioned before. The ocean tech sector in Nova Scotia, it's a horizontal sector, and the technologies that our companies manufacture, deliver, and their expertise in, they've got applications in a huge number of classical vertical sectors, be it marine defense, marine renewables, offshore extractive, education research, environmental monitoring, fisheries and agriculture, and in marine tourism. Halifax is also the base for Canada's Navy, and we have a huge shipbuilding industry there as well too, which generates lots of innovative ideas in the ocean technology sector. Next slide, please. This is just a graphic of our core capabilities of our local companies, and the majority of our companies are SMEs. They're smaller companies. We do have one or two representatives of larger companies, which John referenced earlier on, like Lockheed Martin, etc., and IMP and BE, etc. Next slide, please. Our core capabilities are in acoustic sensors, instrumentation. Our SME companies that are engaged in this are globally recognized as leaders in the field. And also with, as you can see there, with unmanned vehicles, both surface, autonomous and remote controlled, marine geomatics, data, etc. I won't read them all, but that's where our skills are. And again, as I say, they are mostly of SMEs again, and there's a list of the market segments that we are engaged in. Next slide, please. So again, the main key message is we are a horizontal sector, and it underpins the blue economy. And we're defining the blue economy as defined by the OECD. And it's the technologies and skills, etc., that are intrinsic in supporting that blue economy. And Nova Scotia and Atlantic Canada as a whole are very much engaged in the economic development for the whole blue economy, be it environmental monitoring, fisheries, defense, etc. As I did mention, the majority of our companies are SMEs, and they do derive between 7 to 80% of their revenue from international business. And that's not just by direct export, but it's also developing joint ventures and partnerships and collaborative agreements with overseas companies to help to address, like, for example, a Nova Scotia company could partner with a Brazilian company and then address a challenge from a Singaporean company, for example. So this is where we sort of work, is to help to develop those partnerships and international collaborations. And the blue economy from a Canadian perspective and provincial perspective is a federal government priority. In fact, at this moment, the Canadian government is looking at developing a blue economy strategy for all of Canada. Could we just skip the next two slides, please, Desiree, and go on to slide 11? And next slide. Yeah, that's great. So this is just a graphic of some of our local companies, Kraken, Ocean Sonics, etc. And if you require any more information on, please don't hesitate to contact all those. Although we do have a list of them all on our OTCNS website. Next slide, please. As it's been mentioned, the H2O conference. So this year is going to be virtual. It's open. It begins next Monday, June the 7th. It will go for 3 days. And at the moment, there's still time to register. And as you're an international company or international organization, there is complimentary registration. And there on the screen, you'll see the code you put in. It's just, the code is just international. But however, I believe, Monica, you've got the invite for it as well too. And if not, you can email me directly. And next slide, please, Desiree. So it's a bit of a small type here, but we're looking at starting on day one with what we're calling Oceans Outlook. And this is going to be a number of presentations and panel discussions from the Canadian federal government, from organizations such as Department of Fisheries and Oceans, Industry, Science and Economic Development Canada. I believe ACO is going to be represented there. Global Affairs will be represented there as well too. And we will be talking about the procurement and opportunities, etc., which is foreseen from a federal government perspective in the ocean tech sector, which will be coming up in the next 2 or 3 years. We'll also have a brief presentation from IDEAS, which is an organization related to the Canadian Department of National Defence. On day 2, on June the 8th, that'll be Cove Day, and I think Kyle has already mentioned that. We will see some demonstrations from Cove, and a really interesting demonstration of the Stella Maris. So that was going to be excellent. Then on day 3, on Wednesday 9th, we'll have a number of panels. There'll be a panel on oceans and space, one on skills workforce, an international panel, and the other representatives we've got confirmed are representatives from the United Kingdom, from Ireland, and from the United States. We'll then have a panel on ocean electrification, electric boats, which is hosted by Nova Scotia Department of Energy and Mines. And during both days, we will have brief presentations from the Cove startup companies, and they'll be doing 2 or 3 minute pitches just to say what they're doing. As part of the platform, which I think is the most significant, there's an opportunity to make B2B meetings. So you'll see the list of registrants, and you can invite and book a B2B meeting on the actual platform that we've got for the H2O conference. And the B2B meetings will go on for a week after the actual event. At the moment, and I've just had a text as we are talking, we've now exceeded 400 delegates who have actually registered, and also we've now got representatives from over 26 countries. So I do invite you to all register. There is still some time. And to say, for international participants, it is complimentary. Next slide, please. So I'll try my Portuguese. Obrigado, everybody. And if you're looking for more information, my contact details there. And again, Monica, thank you so much for organizing this. Thank you.
Thank you, Gordon. Thanks for that Ocean Tech overview and for the discount code for the H2O conference. I just put it in the chat for everyone to see, and I will follow up with participants and make sure that they have that code in their email as well. And so thank you all for your presentations. So, wow, fiquei muito impressionada com o nosso painel de especialistas da província de Nova Scotia e a cidade e região de Halifax. Agora, ainda temos um pouco de tempo para esclarecer algumas dúvidas. Vamos ver no chat e Q&A se tiver algumas perguntas para os palestrantes. Se tiveram alguma pergunta, podem mandar no chat ou Q&A para a gente. A gente ainda tem alguns minutos. I haven't seen any questions yet come in, but while we're waiting, we have a few minutes. I wonder if anyone feels comfortable talking about Kraken robotics. It was mentioned a few times, and I think our audience probably doesn't know about the Brazil connection with the 13 robotics, with 13R. It's an announcement that came out recently in April. So I don't know if anyone feels comfortable talking a little bit about Kraken, just explaining what they're doing and they recently acquired a Brazilian company. So it's an interesting maybe connection between Nova Scotia and Brazil.
You want me to grab that, Monica? They're a member of Cove.
Yes, please go ahead.
Perfect. So Kraken Robotics, technically by footprint size, is the largest member of Cove. They have a large workshop bay here, and they do a lot of underwater survey work. So seafloor mapping. They have very high resolution synthetic aperture sonar, which is kind of the revolution in sonar imaging. They also have various outposts. So they're based in Newfoundland, which is about a 2-hour flight from Halifax. They have assembly, R&D, and production here at Cove, and they use the waterfront for testing their vehicles and their sonar. So they take their sonar and they put it in underwater vehicles and surface vehicles that are remotely operated or fully autonomous. But they also have a group in Germany that does battery production for deep-rated subsea exploration. And then the Brazilian group that they just purchased, if I remember correctly, it's a software organization that will be used to augment and kind of boost the capabilities of their underwater vehicles and robotic operations. So they're very much a very collaborative company. They also just issued an intent to acquire another company that's a member of Cove called Pangeo Subsea. And Pangeo Subsea is basically where Kraken does scanning the seafloor. Pangeo does about 50 meters, up to about 50 meters below the seafloor. So characterizing any type of unexploded ordnances or boulders, rocks that may be in the way of things like offshore wind development or oil well drilling. So lots of capabilities on the acoustic communication and using sonar for various applications on those two companies.
Thank you so much. That's wonderful. And I just thought it was so interesting, the Kraken connection to Brazil now. I mean, it's a recent development that they've acquired this robotics software company in Brazil, but I think it's interesting demonstration that there are synergies. There are links between Brazil and Nova Scotia, and the technologies that are being developed are very applicable in the Canadian market and in the world. So again, you know, Brazilian companies can use Canada as a springboard to the rest of the world. I think it was brought up several times, the proximity to Europe. So it's a great opportunity for these companies that are looking to become global.
Great note there. I think the company in Brazil also worked with Kraken for a number of years as a partner. So I think Canadian companies in general are very keen to work with key partners and then kind of forge lasting and long-term relationships with companies going forward as well.
Thank you so much for that. Kyle, since you're speaking already, I was wondering if you could also maybe elaborate on opportunities to work virtually with Cove, if there are participants in Brazil listening in and interested in getting involved virtually. Is there such a thing as a virtual soft landing or some kind of residency, a way to start networking with Cove while we're still unable to travel at this time?
Yeah, I think informally or formally between the group of us that are here today would kind of form the core of what a soft landing virtually may be. So leaning on all the expertise from Gordon, Nancy, Kathy, Jonathan, all the different organizations that we represent are able to help navigate if you're trying to work with academia, for instance, or industry, or you're trying to work with other members of any of our organizations. I think being amongst this group is going to get you there. From the Cove perspective, all of our events and workshops, and we host a monthly event called the Ocean Connector, where we bring in an expert speaker from around the world to do a presentation, and then there's networking opportunities afterwards. We encourage everyone to join those. We've been running those now for about 9 years, so they're kind of a staple the third Thursday of every month. So it's an easy thing to remember, and yeah, encourage people to join those virtual offerings. And then if they're interested in exploring opportunities, please feel free to reach out to myself and then the other colleagues on the call as well.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Só para resumir em português que tem oportunidade sim de trabalhar junto virtualmente durante esse período de Covid, antes de poder fisicamente viajar para Nova Scotia, tem oportunidade de interagir com todos os parceiros que estão participando nesse evento hoje. Então, por favor, entrem em contato com a gente. Eu vou fazer um follow-up por e-mail. Eu estou à disposição, todo mundo aqui está à disposição a marcar uma reunião virtualmente para falar sobre essas oportunidades, mais detalhes. E já que estamos chegando ao fim, temos que fechar a sessão de hoje em breve, e se tiverem alguma pergunta, podem contatar a gente por e-mail, a gente vai responder individualmente e atender às suas necessidades. Se vocês tiverem qualquer coisa, estamos à disposição a ajudar vocês a alcançarem os seus objetivos no Canadá. E agradeço mais uma vez os nossos palestrantes, o Marcelo Tavares, Jonathan Coles, Nancy Phillips, Kyle Burton, Kathy Williams, and Gordon Gale, e a ajuda da Desirée Mota. Thank you to our speakers for your time and sharing your knowledge with us today. E em breve compartilhamos o link para esse vídeo desse seminário e estaremos em contato. Muito obrigada e bom dia a todos. Thank you, everyone, and have a great day.
Thank you, Monica. Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Everybody, thanks for the opportunity.